didn't think that I would be able to get here this evening
Hi,
from
Vern.
all the way up in Vermont. But, you take one of those.
Well, at least your state's already counted.
Well,
They
my
count.
state's already counted. But listen, I took a charter flight and I sat in coach. I do not ever sit in first class. And I do not get on
I
private
appreciate
jets.
that.
I do care about the environment as much as I can. Have you seen Vermont? It's a beautiful state.
Vermont is beautiful.
Tony, we want to appreciate you, the fact that you've been here for exactly 10 months. That is a long time to be supporting such an incredibly grassroots podcast.
It is. But we appreciate it very much.
Well, we do appreciate it.
And anybody who's new, they should join too.
If you are here and this is your first time here, we want to make sure that you become a member of this wonderful little podcast. It's small but mighty, as Jen likes to say, but it is very important, especially after tonight. We have to continue transforming politics into service. The way you could do that is by going to this website. Jen, I'm not very technologically savvy, but I think I can figure this out for you. If I go here.
These are the key races right now. Do you see it?
Oh, I can see it. Those are also key. It doesn't look too good.
No.
But make sure you go to patreon.com right there, /generational change. As little as $5.
Guys, help us out on Patreon.
So,
it's really helpful. It helps us pay.
Do you know what costs $5? If you just look, and I tell the story all the time. If you actually go north of the border into Canada from Burlington, where I live, you can get your prescription drugs for $5.
I know.
Isn't that amazing?
Why? Well, we don't have that protection here.
We don't have that protection, and it's really terrible. And unfortunately,
because people like your friend Joe,
my good friend Joe, is about to retire. Can we give him a break? Let's give him a break.
Because Kamala's going to be better on that, right? She's going to fight for us so much more with Big Pharma.
Listen, I think if Kamala somehow pulls it out, I'm going to do everything I can to sit down with her, have a conversation, and let her know that we must have universal health care, reproductive freedom. I don't know how we're going to codify Roe v. Wade. Probably not going to happen.
Well, there's nothing we can do to help Florida with that. We're screwed down here.
Well, look, in the state of Florida, they do not apparently care enough about women's reproductive. Oh, no, actually, they do. Didn't the majority vote for it?
Yes.
The majority voted for it.
But that's it. Majority of people also voted to require us to have 60%. So
that is just
the majority is not so bright.
Listen, one of the best things that will come out of this evening is the fact that I am winning re-election very easily in the great state of Vermont.
Was that ever questioned?
It was probably not in question, but you never take anything for granted. Did you know that when I won the race for mayor of Burlington back in 1981, do you know how many votes I won by? I won by 10 votes.
That's amazing.
That's it.
But there's not that many people. It's not that many people there, though.
There's not that many people. And when I won at the same time that Ronald Reagan was elected president of the United States.
Do you have any idea why it's taking New Hampshire so long to count when your votes are in? Aren't you guys, it's the same size, you're right near each other. How complicated could it be?
Listen, not every state is efficient as
I think New Hampshire is fairly efficient. And I like New Hampshire. They've got that don't tread on me attitude. There's a lot of libertarians there, good people.
I really like the state of New Hampshire. And they were very good to me when I ran for president. I won the New Hampshire primary both times. And in a better world, I probably would have made a much better president.
I know.
It is what it is.
You definitely would have made a better president.
But if you feel the need to actually contribute to the good nature of this political world that is crumbling in front of us all the time,
it's crumbling.
Be in your best interest to support generational change at patreon.com /generational change.
Yeah, for as little as $5 a month. Guys, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. That really does help. And if you're watching on anything that isn't YouTube, please come watch on YouTube. That helps us the most.
The good news is that I am going back to the U.S. Senate, God willing, for another 6 years, and then I'll be done.
You're getting a little old.
I'm getting a little long.
You're getting a little old, Bernie.
But we're still holding on for a political revolution. And if Trump wins again, I'm going to have to resist him. How that is, I'm not really sure because I didn't really do much of that in the past. But we're going to try. We're going to try really hard, I promise. And support the show. Thanks for checking it. I appreciate it.
He is definitely the least offensive of your characters.
Now, if only, and Henry's right, the rotting corpse of Milhouse Nixon would have definitely been better.
And very to the left of where these Democrats are. To the left. The fact that these Democrats are to the right of Ronald Reagan is like,
Josh Hawley.
But you just got to vote blue one more time. Just one more time. This is an existential problem. We're having an existential threat. Trump is an existential threat to democracy. This is the most important election of our lifetime. Et tu, Mark Ruffalo. Ugh. I was so sad. Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see it?
Love you, Teresa. Now, if you want me to do an impression that you're thinking of, please let me know.
Did you see the Mark Ruffalo clip where he basically
No.
told everyone to get in line and not vote for
I didn't know
Stein?
that he did a clip. I know that he did.
Yes.
Like,
No, there was a clip. There was a video clip of him explaining. There was also one from Cynthia Nixon. Very disappointing.
Colin, if you are there, I know you're busy with Jordan and Tina right now.
Yeah, no, Jordan.
You happen
Tina,
to have a clip of Mark Ruffalo and Cynthia Nixon. But again,
the Cynthia Nixon one wasn't, first of all, and her thing was more, which is even more frustrating, was talking about the fact that because they have the Working Families Party, she could support that party while still voting for Kamala Harris. Like, she had some rationalization that involved the fact that Kamala is running under the Working Families Party as well as the Democratic Party in New York, which to me then means, why would you not vote third party in New York? And voting for the Working Families Party does not constitute voting third party if they're running the same candidate. I don't understand.
Look, we are going to deal with this reality if it actually happens.
But see, and that's what I think too.
So the problem that we have to remind ourselves of, and this is one of the things that's difficult to comprehend,
and it won't
be
Kamala doing it. But she's just the puppet.
You actually have one of the most powerful Democrats in all of Congress, Jamie Raskin, came out and said, we will not certify the results even if Trump wins.
And yet they're saying January 6th is an insurrection.
If Trump even made a comment even close to that,
it's so
could
crazy.
You imagine the shitstorm that would follow?
And they're constantly about the January 6th insurrection, and those people don't respect the Constitution. Trump wants to get rid of the Constitution. They don't want to play. And he's saying we won't certify but you know what? When it's the landslide that I think it's going to be, how are they going to get away with not certifying it? How can they do
well, they really are risking a civil war if that's the direction
I just don't see how they can really do that. Because if you think that January 6th was an insurrection, he wins the popular vote and clearly wins, and the Democrats don't certify it, you ain't seen a revolution yet. And let me tell you something, people, the blue people out there, the red people will kick your ass.
Rick Scott. Rick Scott with
96%
reporting has a 13-point lead on Debbie Mercurio-Powell. Now,
not as bad as the Val Demings, Marco Rubio, like I predicted. So kudos to her for closing that gap.
Well, so then what level of hate vote is out there against Rick Scott?
A lot.
Question.
A lot.
That's a hate vote. That's all that is. Because Rick Scott,
He's
only
evil.
Politician in the state of Florida that's worse than Debbie Wasserman Schultz is Rick Scott.
He's evil.
That's it. Like, have you seen those eyes?
You know, Voldemort. So the fact that, right. So that's why.
Now, the scary thing with Rick Scott is that regardless of Trump or Harris winning, it looks almost assured right now that the GOP is going to take the Senate. And if that happens, Rick Scott is going to make a play to be Senate Majority Leader.
Oh, that's bad.
That's bad.
That's bad.
Well, thank you, Debbie Wasserman Schultz and dumbass Democrats, for protecting that witch vile human being. Because Rick Scott, if you actually had a structure, remember, Rick Scott has been able to skate twice by a point, once against Charlie Crist and once against Bill Nelson, and you had everything in your favor to take him out, and you couldn't do it.
No.